Hola amigos de Wine News TV, les invito a conectar conmigo y con mis invitados en Wine News TV On The Go, un podcast que a su vez es un espacio donde aprenderás sobre el mágico mundo del vino a través de invitados de todas partes del mundo que nos contarán sobre sus proyectos para obsequiarnos de forma embotellada música, fuego y leones, como decía el gran maestro argentino Jorge Luis Borges en su poema Soneto al Vino.
Hello, everybody, my dear friends from Wine News TV On The Go. We're doing this in English. This is my first interview since coming back from Spain. And we're taking a little break from Spain to post this content with Benoit Touquette, yes. We are at Fine Wine Imports here in Cataño, Puerto Rico. I'd like to thank Carlos Montalvo, Alejandro Montalvo, the whole Montalvo family for this opportunity to speak with a brilliant winemaker, enologist from France who makes fantastic wines in California. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good, very good. Thank
All
you.
good?
Yes.
You were telling me of Mike that you've been to Puerto Rico in the past and that you love it here, and that this time around you've tried to stay a little longer.
Yeah, always come here, love the people. They always come like, I think the first time Carlitos came, it was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So always come with a group of people and very generous, very passionate. A lot of collectors. So I wanted to stay longer to get to see them and to get to discover the island a bit more. So
What's your impression? We'll start with Puerto Rico and then we'll move to you and to your wine.
Yes.
What's your impression of the local connoisseur or wine enthusiast? You've said that you've met collectors, but I'm sure you've traveled to different places in the world to talk about wine with so many different crowds. What's your impression of the Puerto Rican wine lover?
I was incredibly surprised. I mean, the high level of collectors, passionate, a lot of wine from all world and new world.
Yes.
Also the patience, I think, and sharing the wine that they want to edge almost for you. Every time I come, people surprise me with a bottle that I made from old vintage, and they always blind taste you, and it's truly generous, passionate, and strong collection of wines. Like it's pretty special.
Yeah, I've heard that throughout the last more than 15 years I've been doing this. Tell me about you a bit. I know you were born in France. Everybody's speaking about the Olympics, and that inaugural event was spectacular. It was just the best that I've seen. I've seen a couple of inaugurals, I'm 46. We're about the same age, you and I. Tell me a bit about yourself. Where were you born? When were you first exposed to wine? Obviously, being a Frenchman, you guys are the birthplace of wine, if you will, modern wine at least. Were you exposed to wine at your home? Your parents were wine collectors, wine drinkers. How do you get involved with wine?
Yeah, so I grew up in Lyon, so 18 years. So it's more like food capital. We think about Paul Bocuse, of course, the cuisine, so Bocuse d'Or. And grew up with my dad. My mom is from Bordeaux, so every vacation in Bordeaux. My dad was working in the bank, so eventually I moved after 18 years to Bordeaux for 10 years. My parents are still there. My younger sister there. So growing up, like wine was part of the table.
Mm-hmm.
You have water, you have wine, and that's what you see as a young child. So my dad was drinking Chateauneuf-du-Pape, Bordeaux, and not really, frankly, not so much Burgundy for some reason. He was not a Pinot drinker. So I knew wine not to be like passionate really about it, but I grew up comfortable around it, like tasting as a young child. But I think the passion come later because I was first doing engineering studies in Lyon. I wanted to be engineers and eventually work into my uncle was working in the army, fixing the jets engines.
Oh, wow.
That was some sort of inspiration. So I tried to be a pilot in the army based on that, and then like eventually work on the engine like him. But then I changed. I went to do like chemistry with my sister. She's a cosmetic engineer. She did the Guerlain school in Paris, so she does cream soaps.
Yeah.
And as I was following a footstep, I get to work in Bordeaux in different jobs, so construction, fixing cars. I love cars. And then I went in a mobile bottling line around Bordeaux, putting wine in bottle, different chateau, and that's where I got the passion because first time I met people doing the same job for 30 years plus, extremely excited about the works that we're doing. So get to know the wine better, understand the aspect of growing the grapes better. So I finished a master's in chemistry. I did 2 years of research, and then I did a master's science enology, so Bordeaux school.
Okay.
During the process, I was doing service. I wanted to meet the people. So weddings, we are pouring wine, like going Bordeaux. Like,
When was this? Not in the 1990s.
yeah, I moved to Bordeaux in '98. So it's really there. Like things turns in gear to be me like going to once because I arrived in Napa in 2004.
Yeah, I want to get there. So you studied enology in France.
Yes.
Did you ever get to work at a chateau in Bordeaux, like a French winery?
Yeah, so Pessac-Léognan always I wanted to do white and red.
Okay.
So Chateau, I wanted also to see what sides because I find out very quickly like different level of commitment in terms of wineries. So Chateau de France was one. I was Chateau Portes. That was a young family, like the daughter was taking over. Thank you.
Sure.
Taking over dad's. So that was very like a small winery. Then Chateau de France, it was a bit bigger. Arnaud Thomasin. And then I went with Chateau La Louvière. So that was Mr. Lurton, Pierre. And it was
Pierre Lurton?
I think it was Pierre Lurton,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
And it was Vincent Cruège was the director of operation. And then there's Coins Lurton. So it was La Louvière was bigger operation. Coins Lurton was the crown jewel, smaller, very dedicated to high quality. So that get me to say, okay, that's the kind of winery I would love to work with. Along the way, I get to meet Michel Roland. So a friend of mine was, part of the family, and I get to meet him. And I kind of knew I wanted to experiment going away before dedicating my life to Bordeaux.
Yeah, Michel Roland, for those listening to us, perhaps have not heard his name, is like the Paul McCartney of winemakers, right? He's incredible. He's a consulting winemaker for a lot of properties all over the world, and he's been very, very successful. If you want to know more about Mr. Roland, you can Google him, Michel Roland. There's even a documentary, a lot of things that he's done. Continue, sorry.
So I talked to Michel and said like, hey, where will you go if you were young and you can do it again? He's born in Pomerol in '47. He's traveled the world. So I say like, what better?
Is he still making Le Bon Pasteur? Does he still own that property?
Yeah.
Good wine.
So it was like, go to Napa.
Okay.
So he told me right away. And I say, where? Because I think when I asked my teachers about Napa Valley, they were kind of recommending Dominus and Opus One. That was kind of the
Dominus is my favorite wine from Napa.
So it was the two names that come to mind from my teacher's point of view at University Bordeaux. But Michel knew La Valley, Screaming Eagle, Brian. He named me all those wineries that nobody really knew.
Right.
And it's like, oh, so Andy Erickson at the time, a famous consultant.
Andy Erickson, of course.
Was looking for an intern, assistant, whatever.
At Screaming?
Everywhere.
Okay.
So at the time, it was not at Screaming yet. It was Ovid Dancing Here, Favia is on label.
Favia.
So
Favia's with his wife, right?
Yes. So that was his Artwell. That's important in my career. Etc. etc. So it's like we met. He came to Bordeaux, so to have an interview. So I dressed proper.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I don't want to miss this one, and that become like a 3 months agreement for the harvest. Like 2004. 3 months become 18 months, and then I left no visa. Went to South Africa for Michel Roland in his winery, and then went back, and that's it. So I'm still in Napa now.
That's awesome. Okay, so we have two labels or two different brands, if you will. You own them both with your lovely wife. I was looking at a picture of your son. How beautiful of a baby. God bless him. And we have Teeter-Totter. We're going to start off with a Chardonnay Napa Valley 2023. I've always loved the label, and I've never wanted to ask because I don't want to sound like an imbecile. What does it mean, Teeter-Totter?
Well,
how do you pronounce it first?
Teeter-Totter.
Teeter-Totter. Yeah, what does it mean?
I think the name come after Fait Main, and that's important to say that and to explain, because when I named my first brand, so first I came as a Frenchman, discovered that in Napa you can buy grapes and you can make your own wine.
Mm-hmm.
For me, revolution, because in France you typically work for a chateau, and if you don't own the land, you don't make wine.
Right.
So it's kind of, you're gonna work for somebody. Here, freedom, I guess, America. So I say, oh wow, I gonna have the opportunity to make my own brand and explore myself. So I started with Fait Main, and people we talk about that, you and I call it Fat Man. Eventually, like it's like, oh, I realize if I want to do another brand, I gotta do a name.
And Fait Main, what does it mean?
I mean handmade.
Oh, beautiful.
So I wanted to express the craft. I wanted
Of
to express
course.
the fact that the savoir-faire, the know-how,
Yeah.
and through the wines, being an artisan. Because I don't expect to make a lot of wine. I expect to make small batch, like more the Burgundian approach of specific wines that come from a specific site. But so that's Fait Main. But I saw, coming from a French background, that the price of the wine is not as expensive. So I told myself I should have another brand that's kind of value driven, because how do you get into wine when you're young or when you don't have the disposable income to afford a bottle that's
Exactly.
expensive? So I say, if I don't do anything, I mean, shame on me, because I wanted to be able to do a price point driven wine that's made like a real wine, not confectionate, not sugary, because
Yeah.
some of those lower price point I find
Yeah.
are very kind of like
They're cotton candy. They are.
So I
You
say,
can say it here.
so now comes the researcher say, okay, this is the why of the wine. What's gonna be the name? I gotta make sure people can pronounce it. So I work with a firm in San Francisco that was called Hatch, and I told them, I said, hey, I want something whimsical, fun. I don't want to take it so seriously, because I think people in the wine sometimes they're scared to talk about the wine. Oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, I don't have the
Oh,
vocabulary.
there's a lot, and this is the reason why I started this out 16 years ago, because wine can be intimidating. Wine can, drive people away. Doesn't happen with beer or with whiskey or with rum. Like you share a glass with a friend and they'll just drink it. But with wine, some people say, "Oh, I don't know nothing about wine. Oh, I should take some courses. Oh, I'm not savvy enough to enjoy this." Happens a lot.
It's strange, but it's very true. And when I see my son, for example, like I'm making test one a little bit, you know what you like and don't like from the get go. You don't have to have the vocabulary. It's just a reaction that's visceral. You know it.
Yeah.
And I think wine is something around it that you think you got to know the verbiage, the vocabulary.
All the grapes and yeah.
And if people tell you that's the one you must love, you go. If it's a
Oh, of
score or
course.
anything, say, "Oh, I must love that," and you tell yourself, even if you
And they limit themselves in as much as they get married to a certain label, certain winery, and they do not drive. They don't move away from that. They drink the same wine, same label year after year because that's their safe spot. And in wine, there's nothing better than being polygamous. Not married to one single label.
Absolutely. And I say one of the strengths of a winemaker, in my view, is to be curious.
Yes.
And be willing to change, to evolve. And so you gotta be exploring and new horizon to get source of creativity. So to me, it's like if you're stuck in the same ways, like you limit yourself. So anyway, back to the name. So I'll talk to that firm and say it's gotta be fun, it's gotta be whimsical. I want something with a rhythm to it. I said I wanted a sketch and I wanted animals. I was breeding dogs, so I love animals, but I think this also attract good vibes. People always love animals, like typically in general. So I said, okay, so they give me a full page of names, and Teeter-Totter, for some reason, I love the name. It was the rhythm of it. I think it was fun, almost childish. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that it was a seesaw.
Yeah.
I find out after the fact. So then we went with the name. Then we went, okay, it's a seesaw. Then I wanted animals and a sketch. And I said, okay, so let's put some animals. So we tried chicken and the cow because I was trying to get French. And they said, okay, we find out that the mouse and the elephant. I say, put the mouse to lift the elephant. I think that's going to be a nonsense. It's going to be fun. And some people may see different things in their life. David versus Goliath, the small versus the biggest company, the small, family
Wisdom
business.
comes in small packages. Strength in small packages. Yeah, I love it. It's a mouse on one side of the seesaw, and then on the other is an elephant. And the elephant seems to be lighter than the mouse.
Yes, and I must show you, like, and I think you want, if you can describe that, because since then, like I mentioned to you, I have a son, and I wanted to kind of make the label evolve.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I find an artist in Barcelona, like Ricardo, that did that for me. I said, can you bring these animals to life? So we have the small cricket. The cricket is my son. So that's a lucky.
That's Roman.
That's Roman, yes.
Roman, your son.
You see, they have the elephant with eyelashes. It's gonna be my wife, and you see me with my big nose, like a bit of ratatouille, the rat.
I love it, man. That's fantastic.
Derision. Make fun of yourself. Don't take yourself so
Oh, that's
seriously.
self-deprecation is the
Y-
best.
You
I
know,
do
as
I do it all the time. So let's get into the first wine. We have a Chardonnay here, Napa Valley 2023. I love the freshness of the nose here. Chardonnay in California can be very, very ripe and overwhelming and powerful, but from the get-go, I do see this restraint to showcase and highlight the fruit much more than the oak. There's obviously the beautiful note of spice, but it smells lemon oil notes. It's Burgundian in a way. Lovely nose,
yeah,
lovely
so I
nose.
think you describe a lot of things that I found to be true. I think you and I had a brief chat, but California, it's easy to overdo it, over extract, overhang, like hang too long. So I think self discipline is the word, and I think people are generally tired to drink too big of a wine. So I think we pick early. So USC alcohol is 13.5. We wanted acidity. We wanted a wine that's friendly with food, a wine that's refreshing, not too buttery. I mean, some people do that. You have brands, Rembauers and some others. So I said we wanted to differentiate ourselves here. Food in mind, refreshing in mind, so fruit driven, but also like when you're gonna edge minerality, that should go through. But kind of representation of the kind like the Napa Valley. So there's sunshine, so there's fruit, more Burgundian techniques, methods, a bit steely, a bit lean. Not too heavy on
Yes,
the oak. We gotta try to be just light ended there, and I think we're very happy with that. So
it's I don't want to say lean because it's not the descriptor, but it has power, but also restraint, and has this lovely bright citrusy fruit, but you can tell that there's that whiff hint of that sort of apple, which is not baked. It's green turning into yellow, right?
yeah,
Like you stay right there before crossing onto baked apple. Beautiful wine.
thank
Really
you.
enjoyed it, my friend. Beautiful. It's very gastronomic. I am uh, I am positively surprised to see that you've stayed under 14. Actually, under you're 13.3 alcohol here.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Congratulations.
thank you.
And nowadays you see a lot of Chardonnays that are, same alcohol as a red wine.
Yeah, I think last time was we drink a lot of white burgundy, and I was sending just sort of education myself, like a love left to the laboratory, and it was 14.3. So I think burgundy, you talk about global warming, and I think it's really
Oh,
true.
it's real.
It's a
It's real.
true thing. People pick earlier and earlier,
Yeah.
and I think that they are called the ripening.
And now you're seeing wines, quality wines in areas that you wouldn't have expected to be able to make wine. Like they're making very good sparklers in England.
Yes,
They're making very good wines in the Finger Lakes region up in New York. That was 100 years ago.
not
Super
possible.
cold,
Yeah,
impossible,
yeah,
impossible. So incredible to see that. This is a very beautiful wine. What do you pair it with for those who are listening who will tell their wives or their significant others, "Oh, I want to buy the Teeter-Totter Chardonnay. Let's cook something." What do you pair this with?
to me, typically, I think like, I love sushi. I love like sashimi and rough like or salad. Something with acidity, like cut well through this one, like or help. I love what you said. Lean doesn't bother me. I think it's some nice of tension in the wine. I love the fact it makes you salivate.
I haven't used the word lean and I love the word
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
lean because I just came back from Spain. I was drinking Albarino, Godello. I was drinking Charlot. So lean for me is saying beautiful, gorgeous. I haven't used the word lean with a California Chardonnay in ages, in ages. So for me, this
Yeah.
for me this is amazing. All right, let's go to the second wine, my
Yes.
friend. This is which one should be next? The Paso
Le
Robles.
Paso, yeah, yeah.
All right, my friend, let's do this right here. You don't mind pouring the same one? No, you don't, right? You want
No, I've been tasting those wine
forever.
all week.
All right, so this label is new to me. I had seen the other Teeter-Totter, the white label, but this is Paso Robles Willow Creek District. What can you tell us about this bottling?
So yeah, it's the first time. So we my wife and I were looking. We love Paso. We've been working with Full Draw. So it's like winery that existed. Some friend of us, like next to Booker. So I've been knowing Eric Jensen for a while. So we're always kind of in the vicinity for Paso Robles and see what they're doing. And there was a natural curiosity. So and one day we decided to buy a property there.
Okay.
So it was time. First we're doing GSM, and I wanted to finally under one own label to do a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
So this one we call it the proprietary red blend, but it's really mainly Cabernet Sauvignon with some spice, GSM, like so Grenache, Syrah,
Some more
Mourvedre.
Vedra, yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful region, and it's different type of soil. So we have a lot of type of soil in Napa. Finally, I think like 34, but we don't have calcareous, we don't have siliceous, which lead the wine to be like more, think about Saint-Emilion, high acidity, natural, so pH like 3.65.
Okay.
And so I think that changed the way you.
What's the pH in Napa typically?
So 3.75, 3.85, so it's more high. So this remind me more of Saint-Emilion. I've been making a wine from Fait Main from Saint-Emilion, so I was looking for that natural bright acidity.
Okay.
And I think Paso give you that.
Let's see what we find here.
But yeah,
oh my God, the nose is spectacular. It's so aromatic. It's intense. You have that beautiful sort of, Cabernet. I mean, when it speaks, it screams. But in this case, it screams beautiful notes of very ripe fruit without feeling jammy. Sometimes you can smell the jamminess. Typically, you taste it, but I can smell it. Here, I get currant, cedar. I get that beautiful minty. And then the red black cherries, and there's spice for sure. There's that. What sort of oak you use? French oak?
French oak
Yeah,
always.
French.
So that France originally, most wineries they use like a lot, like 8 to 9 cold range. If a typical winery, I like to minimize myself to 2. So we do Taranto and Danajou. I want to be more focused with 1 cold range. So, but French oak always.
What I love about this wine is that it's big, but it's not sweet. It's big and it's balanced and it's very fruity, but the acidity balances out that ripe fruit and creates this beautiful tension. And it feels like a Ferrari. You can go at 200 kilometers, 150 miles per hour in a Ferrari, and you don't notice it. Like the car barely moves inside. This is 15.2% alcohol, but it's very well integrated into the fruit and the oak, and it's a spectacular wine. It's a lot of fruit, lots of fruits, but it's not lots of sweetness. It's fruit, ripe fruit.
I think that's the tension we get to find in Paso Robles. So I mean, you describe the wine better than we do. So
beautiful wine.
You say it all.
Beautiful wine, my friend. This is spectacular. Do you happen to know, and if you don't know, you just tell me, I don't know, ask Carlitos, the price point for a consumer here in Puerto Rico for this wine? You probably know the wine that you sell in California, if you go to a store, because Carlitos makes a fantastic job and keeps the wines very, very, very reasonably priced. What's the price point for a consumer for this one?
We suggest, I think, the retail to be $45.
Yeah, this is spectacular.
So I think the Chardonnay would have been 35. This is 45.
How many bottles do you make of this?
We've done, I think, 600 cases of this one. Total production. So
yeah, this
is small, I mean.
This is lovely for those of you who like wines with personality but finesse. There's a saying that I have that it's a horrible image, but it conveys a message. It's Shaquille O'Neal walking on a wrong way with stilettos, with high heels.
Oh wow!
But walking well, walking nice. It's power.
But I would love to see that.
But there's elegance, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So this is a new bottling. This came to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, first time. 21 was first vintage. So Carlitos jumped on it
and I would pair this with all sorts of things. Mainly, I don't know, like a burger with blue cheese would go amazing with that. All right, let's get into now the Teeter-Totter. This is the famous label that I've seen for many years here. Carlitos does a fantastic job with promoting this wine. Has a cult following here. All right, let's talk about this one.
We worked with Carlitos, I think, first time in 2014. So we go a long way back. So it's family there. So this is 22, I believe, correct?
Yeah, look at the color.
Yes. Of this. So 22 is very interesting contrast because we had the 21 there. In 22, it was beautiful growing season, but we have a heat spell at the end of Labor Day. So I think there was a natural choice that opened. So we need to pick early. So the Cabernet from this one, so we use different spice here. You're going to have a little bit of Petit Syrah, Zinfandel, Charbonneau. So we have some dry, we talk about that, you love Spain.
Yeah.
Old vines, dry farm in Calistoga. I work with Vince Stefanelli and Peter Heitz from Shaipook. So I'm feel privileged to have some old vine in Napa. There's not so many. Charbonneau, there's not so
Right.
much. So I think we have like 62 acres left. So it's kind of nothing. And this is great variety also. My D in 22, based on the heat that we have, Labor Day, 10 days, it's spent 120 degrees, pick early. So the Cabernet come from Rutherford. And so it's like you see in the Chardonnay. The intention is to make wine that's just peak earlier and so more expressive and a nice acidity. So
Right.
hopefully we're gonna see that there's a change this from 21 to 22.
This is the nose that made me fall in love with Napa, that made me fall in love with a California Cabernet 17 years ago, because you have this gorgeous balance, or this gorgeous tension between dirt and fruit, earth, minerality, and then you have that gorgeous aromatics that speak of this uh, generous, ripe, luscious, and very healthy fruit. Right? It's like biting. Like I haven't even tasted it. Through the smell, I feel like I am biting into the fruit. You have plums, but there's that, and maybe this is the French in you. Aside from the fruit, there's a little olive. There's a little green. There's a hint. There's a in the back, right? There's something that's earthy and dirty.
Yeah, no, I love what you say because I think through the years and perhaps experience of me getting older or drink more like Burgundy, we're talking about that, and Bordeaux. I think we have turned the dial too much in Napa early 2000, early 2010 with over extraction, with pushing the ripeness of the fruit. It's very important what you say, freshness, but freshness, stemminess, like that they include a little, sometimes we want, don't shy away from greenness, something stemmy, something fresh, like
You
you say,
use whole
vibrant.
cluster here, whole cluster.
No cluster, but like the freshness of the spice. So I've done some old cluster games, but none on this one, not particular. I think the picking decision is key nowadays in Napa.
The drying sensation at the end, the closure. I mean, the landing on the palate, the back end of the wine is gorgeous, because it wants you. It makes you want to go for a bite of food or a second glass, because there's even a little bit of a salinity, which is a freshness, which is this drying sensation, which is like greenness, bitterness is sometimes seen as something negative, but I love it because it refreshes you. It's like when you have those Amaro cocktails out of Italy,
Yeah.
that at the end you feel this herb infusion. At the end, this wine, it's like in the Olympics when you have a perfect dive or a perfect landing in gymnastics. The wine closes beautiful, and the finish is quite long, and it's fruity, but it's also fresh.
I love your description. I think, and a lot of people trying to shy away also from tannins. I see that, and so on some price from wines, and I think tannins is part of the wine too.
Of course,
And it's like it's part of the
it's the
component that you
backbone of
should
red
have.
wines.
And to me, that give you the structure. It's like a beautiful person, like having like a spine. So if there's no tannins in the wine, very hard for me to enjoy.
If you don't have tannins in a wine, that it's not going to have character. And in a person, if he or she doesn't have a strong spine, strong backbone, you know, not a lot of character there. Okay, so we are now going to Femme.
Yes, Fait Main,
Fema.
known as Fat Man.
Fat Man. Well, this would be my wine. This is Fat Man. I would cross out the both eyes. This is Fema.
It was me predicting we would gain weight.
And this is Cabernet Sauvignon. How 100% Cab?
100%. So this, we do single vineyard designated under, what I call the white label here in front of us, which have the crest of Mount Saint Leon. I see Napa Valley as Burgundy. A lot of different terroir, like I said, different soils, different elevation, um, different exposure. I think it's very complex. And for people, it's very important because they think, oh, it's Bordeaux varietal. It's like Bordeaux. Bordeaux is pretty flat. It's pretty big estate, especially on the left bank. Here, it's very narrow valley. It's very tall. I mean, 0 to 2,000 foot elevation. So I knew we had something special in Napa Valley, like talking to Michel and get to find out working with Andy Erickson to all those different cult wines. And I said, okay. So I started with isolating Las Piedras, and I think we're going to test Missouri Upper.
Yeah,
It's a
Missouri.
Bexhofer,
Yeah.
two Bexhofer, and now we're working with Tierra Aurora, which is in Northville, just underneath de la Valley. So Blue Label come, this is the first vintage. So it's helping me to do a barrel selection from the 3 single vineyards wines that we have, the white labels. but also to test drive some vineyards that eventually could become a single vineyards. So it's kind of a blend of all those three wines plus some
So
select
okay, so it's 100% cab from
Cabernet
different parcels.
for
Like it's a
different parcels.
mosaic of
Yes.
Cabernets. Okay.
So if people know Realm Cedars is some sort of a bard, it's kind of an expression of the valley as a whole. So it's a blend of different sites, but it's Cabernet Sauvignon 100%.
This is incredible. The cassis liqueur, the again, your French roots are there. Like it smells California for sure, but there's a tiny homage to Bordeaux right there. Obviously, Cabernet Sauvignon being a grape that became worldwide known because of Bordeaux. Uh, love the concentration here. There's a beautiful sort of minty, leafy. There's this minerality to it that's gorgeous, but again, the fruit is massive, and at the same time is elegant. It's not saturated or gooey. Let's go for a palate.
I think again 21 beautiful vintage, very powerful. 21 was a vintage of you gotta self control because you go. I put some here if you want to. Like I think that's the vintage. If you don't pay attention, you oversip a tea. I always say there was nature will give you a lot, small berries, concentration, high level tannins. So it was like, whoa, we have enough. When to tell yourself you have enough? What's 21? 22, much more. Again, you find
unbelievable. I had to drink it. I'm sorry. The other one.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I guess it's time.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
yeah.
We can. It's nice. No,
It's okay. We can. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. It's 11.
It's a spectacular wine, my friend, because the fruit is massive, but it's fresh. I have this saying in Spanish: "Es un vino con poder y prudencia, power and prudence or restraint." Prudencia. It's wow. The finish is again big but fresh. It's like a cowboy who recites poetry, right?
Love it.
Like a tough man, but who has a heart.
I would say to me, it's like Napa is kind of giant light on his feet. So I think that's equal what you're saying. I think we have that.
Oh, yeah, very nice, very nice wine. The fruit is layered, is rich, but it's not. Nowadays, you have this descriptor that is a hedonistic. It's this wine has a lot of fruit, but it's love. It's not porno. It's not pornography. It's love.
I love that.
Delicious. And this one retails for around what, $100?
Yeah, well, I think sub.
Yeah.
Sub, I gotta check on this one.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. I mean, Napa Valley, 100% Cabernet from a very reputable winemaker, just such as yourself. This is a gorgeous bottle of wine, my friend, and this will only get better with time because it's a baby. We're committing a bit of a crime here. A bit of a crime.
I drink young myself, whatever it's. I was of the debate actually because I drink my white Burgundy also very young, and people say, "Why you drink so young?" It's like I want to beat the Primox, and plus you never know. So
all right, now we are getting into the last wine. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous label. Tell me about the crest for a bit. I see the fleur de lis, right?
Yes. So
is that a lion or a dragon?
It's a lion.
Okay.
So remember, I'm born in Lyon, and that's the crest of my
Lyon. The lion, right? Of course.
I think
this is for you.
Oh, thank you. I think when we talk about wines, we talk about terroir. We talk finally about sense of place, and I think that's important in the wine, but importance towards who we are. What is our roots? We talk about our origins. For example, my son is born in the U.S., but I'm French, so I hope he's gonna want to know his roots.
Your wife is American, right?
She's American, and mom's from Guatemala. So you see, I think it's always important to know
So she speaks Spanish.
No, because the mom don't want her to speak Spanish. She speak a little bit, but that was the type of generation where parents were never. So my son,
they wanted their kids to integrate to American society.
That was kind of the process at the time, which is kind of crazy. My son now speaks French, Spanish, English. Beautiful. So I think it's integration is international.
Yeah.
So I wanted the crest of my own town just to remember what made me who I am is where I grew up. So to me, it's like honoring my past and that's my legacy. So I wanted that to be a hair that represent me. And then Fait Main, like the aspect of small plots and making some.
Before I get into this monstrosity and gorgeous monstrosity in terms of the incredible aromas that I'm getting from here, that they're very hard to describe. And I've discovered that the best things in life are those that are hard to describe. They're more into. They're much more uh, made in ways for you to feel rather than describe or explain. Uh, Tell me about Beckstoffer. A lot of people read about Beckstoffer as an incredible parcel, incredible piece of land. Tell us a bit about Beckstoffer.
Yeah, so Beckstoffer is Andy Beckstoffer. So I mean, somebody that changed the valley deeply. I think we talk about Michel Roland being one of those people that affect the valley. Bill Harlan is one. So I think I will put Robert Mondavi, Bill Harlan, and Andy Beckstoffer. I mean, incredible landowner. And I've helped young winemakers or different winemakers. You can think about Schrader and Beckstoffer Tokalon. You can think about Ramsayers, Beckstoffer, Dr. Crane. And I think the gentleman had a vision to honor the land, choose them. So we call heritage vineyards. So Missouri Upper is one of them. There's Tocanon, there's Dr. Crane, there's Las Piedras, there's George III. And he become an ambassador of the wine growing region, Napa Valley. And it's a privilege to be able to work with his grapes. And I think a visionary man, like in terms of the impact that he had on the valley. So
This is an amazing bottle of wine. This is perfection. I mean, I know that you've gotten incredible reviews, but this is that type of wine that you say, "Wow, I'm blown away." And again, this is a baby. I love tasting it. Well, it's not a baby. It's 2018. My God, I was thinking that I was gonna turn the bottle and see 2020, 2021. This wine is 6 years old, but it feels that it was made a year ago. That's the quality of the fruit, the acidity, the tannins. This is a wine that I think can last 50 years easily.
so you asked me what I love about coming to Puerto Rico, and I had a dinner with Panchi and Ponce, and Randy's long-term friends, one of the early, visitors with Carlitos. He surprised me, blind taste me, and he said, "Hey, this is one of your wines. What is it?" And I was looking at the color where the restaurants, I don't know, 16, and he said, "No, it's 13 Las Piedras, Beckstoffer." It was incredible. So I think, and I don't do that enough, drink some older wines because we kind of
No,
move
no,
on.
the world
But
goes at
that's why I
such a
love
fast.
here. It's like Randy he said, no, every winemaker should know the wine 10 years later. And say, this is an exercise we got to do because we're always kind of busy thinking about the next vintage. And it's really good to see how the wine age that to tell you the quality of the fruit, but also help me to say, okay, should have done something different. So you kind of reuse it and refine your craft. So it's good for me to see like 18s on the right trajectory. I think it was fresh. It was, and I think it's showing like some capacity to age. So
It's gorgeous. It's a really gorgeous wine. I love how minty, how you have that currant, and then you have the pencil shavings, the graphite, the black cherry, obviously the licorice. Oh my God, uh, you do have that pretty spicy note that may come from the oak, but the fruit, this is pure fruit and gorgeous, luscious fruit, generous fruit, ripe fruit without being jammy fruit. Uh, this is the perfect cross of the generous California sun and the French know-how in treating the grapes like gems. This is a gorgeous wine, my friend.
thank you.
Incredible
I
wine.
love the way you speak about it. So
This
thank
is
you.
I'm making my list of my top 100 for this year. I've knotted down 60 wines already, and I think a couple of these are gonna make it into the list. But this wine is amazing. This is a beautiful wine. How many bottles do you make of the Backstuffer Mystery Hopper?
So we do like 200 cases.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the price point here, what, $300?
No, 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 no. We I think we should be 175 max.
175. This is an incredible bottle of wine, Benoit. Before we go, thank you for this.
Thank you.
Are you working on anything new that you can sort of give us a hint? There's something that may be coming your way in a couple of months, couple of years. What are you investigating? Are you working with other varietals? Tell me if you want a little bit about the one you're making in Bordeaux.
Yeah, so under Fait Main, we're doing a wine from Le Châtelet.
Mhm.
Frankly, I stopped because if there is something that you must know about, so I'm a partner at Realm Cellars and winemaker. We're gonna make a wine with La Conseillante. So it's gonna be a crossover. So we're gonna call it Ocean Crossing.
It's beautiful.
It's gonna be a uniqueness to marry like Pomerol, Merlot, and Napa.
Yeah, I think what's the who's Penfolds is doing something with California and Australia. So this is something France and California.
Yeah, so Marielle Cazo, she was a classmate of my like we were classmates together, and so we've been discussing a while because we see each other, sometime at the gallery tasting or whatever events of wine. And say, man, we really love your Merlot, I really love your Cabernet. I said, why we don't try to integrate them or see if we can make.
It's going to be awesome. I mean, the Merlot. To be honest with you, Cabernet Napa is pretty incredible. But still, I think, and obviously, I'm biased, and I'm very biased to France and the old world. Cabernet from France it's amazing. But Napa, gives them a run for their money. In terms of Merlot, nothing can beat Bordeaux. Merlot from Bordeaux is.
And then that's what I think too, and I'm excited to see how that's gonna marry.
Yeah.
And the fact,
have you tasted it or you haven't?
Yeah, we bottled it, so it's not released. We have a name, we have a label. It's bottled.
But did it show, or is it showing like you expected? Like, is it
very complex, very hard to describe in a sense because
I want to try it. I'm coming to California next year, hopefully. So
please,
I'll probably try it. I'll probably come visit you and do.
You're gonna have a kick out of it because with your background, your knowledge, and you're gonna put this thing together. It's a mind blowing.
It has to be. It has to be. Yeah, we'll be in touch, my friend. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so very much.
Everyone who's listening to this, I'm gonna be posting on social media as well. Please get these wines wherever you can find them. You'll see the Fine Wine Imports sticker or label, seal of approval, seal of quality. And these wines are really, really amazing. They're fantastic. Please remember to subscribe, follow us here, drop us a review. That goes a long way. And always remember that in the wine world, there's space for everybody. The important thing is not the destination, but the journey, one glass at a time, one friend, one grape at a time. Thank you. Cheers to you, my friends.
Salud.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your stay in Puerto Rico. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you. Take care.
Este fue el episodio de hoy. Recuerda dejarnos una reseña para que nos ayudes a crecer, suscribirte y recomendarnos con tus amigos amantes del vino. No importa cuán avanzado estés en el recorrido de enamorarte de aquello que decían sobre el vino. Son uvas transformadas en poesía. Aquí hay espacio para todos. Salud y como siempre, dale share.